Hello and welcome to this edition of COVID Conversations. I'm your host, Kimberly Pierce Cartwright, and we're using Zoom to talk about how COVID-19 is affecting our world. Small, diverse businesses in the state are having a hard time dealing with COVID-19, and standing in the gap for those businesses is the North Carolina Institute of Minority Economic Development. And here with me today is Kevin J. Price, President and CEO of the Institute. Now, it's a nonprofit consulting and services firm focused on business diversity and inclusion. And I want to say a warm hello to you, Kevin Price. How are you?
I'm doing very well, Kimberly. Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome. It's good to see you again. And you know what? You just started this job this year. And what a year. What a year it's been. So how are you settling in?
Well, I'm getting settled in. We just relocated last week from Charlotte to Chapel Hill. So we're still living out of boxes, but slowly but surely, we're getting there.
Okay, wonderful. Glad that you've come over to this side of North Carolina. So talk to me about the Institute. What is the mission of the nonprofit?
Well, the mission is really to strengthen the asset base of diverse populations. And we do that through education, policy, and also providing economic opportunities for diverse populations. So, in a nutshell, that is the mission of the organization.
Okay, good.
Many think of us as an advocacy organization that provides voice to those issues that impact minority populations.
Okay, sounds great. What programs does the Institute have under its umbrella, and what clients are being served through what you do?
Well, if you looked at the Institute on one piece of paper, you would see four lines of business. The first being research, policy, and impact. And within the research, policy, and impact line of business is the Policy Center. And that work we've been doing since we started back in 1986. Andrea Harris is the founder of the Institute, and I always have to pay homage to her. But part of her vision was that we would address policy issues that impact minority populations. And that work is done through the Policy Center. The second is the Center for Entrepreneurship. And within the Center for Entrepreneurship, we have two women's business centers, one in Charlotte, one in Durham. We also have a small business transportation resource center that partners with USDOT that is in that space as well. And we merged with another nonprofit back in June. So to your point of, it seems like it's been longer than March since I started in this work. But we merged with another nonprofit that is a community development financial institution. And that came along with another building in Raleigh. So we call it Institute North. And so that building we will convert to a business incubator, partner with HBCUs across the state, and target juniors and seniors in college who have entrepreneurial aspirations, and we'll support them on that journey. And hopefully we'll get to a point where when they graduate, if not before, we'll help them launch their business. The third is work we're doing with the Center for Community Investment, which is where the CDFI sits. We call that CDFI, or Community Development Financial Institution, ICAP. So it is a separate 501c3 that we own. The other thing that sits in that line of business is Public Allies, where we partner with nonprofits and provide support to them. The last line of business is the Center for Professional Services. And there are two things in there. The first is Minority Education, Executive Education Institute, which trains those minority business owners. And the second is what we call Equity Rising, for corporations that want to do more around diversity and inclusion. We want to support them on that journey. So we have chief diversity officers, lawyers that have a diversity and inclusion background, and others who support that work as contracted um, um, participants with us or partners with us. And so those are the programs that the Institute offers in one form or another.
Sounds like a mighty work that you guys are doing, and you umbrella all of these agencies. How is it that you keep it separate and then remain on the same course at the same time? It's mind-boggling to me that all of that would go on under the Institute.
Well, we have an amazing team that stretch the gamut. You know, our footprint really is South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, and Kentucky. So we have team members in the Charlotte area. We have the bulk of them are in Durham. We will eventually have some team members in Raleigh. We have some just outside of DC in that area. So we stretch throughout 3 states, basically, but our footprint is a little bit larger than that. So everyone understands their mission, their role, and they're executing with excellence. And that's what we expect. People come to us with a need, a desire for help. And we want to be that group, as you put it, that stands in the gap to support them and make sure they're successful.
I want to talk about that gap. COVID-19 has greatly impacted small, diverse businesses in North Carolina. What has the Institute done to contribute to helping them sustain through a pandemic?
Well, I started back in March the 9th exactly. And I got about a week with the team. And all of a sudden, COVID hit. So we shut the office down. And then it was important for us to start working from home, but at the same time, begin to gather intelligence about how COVID-19 was impacting diverse businesses across the state. So we brought together a coalition of nonprofits that represented the minority business community, the women business community, veterans, disabled, LGBT, and others. And we sat down and thought through a strategy that included a survey. And we wanted to understand on the ground how it was impacting communities or businesses across the state. We've done that survey now every quarter since March, and those results are posted on the Institute's website. So your listeners are welcome to go out and see the results of that. We're very proud of that because the survey not only told us what was happening, but it also includes recommendations. And we've shared those recommendations with the governor's office, with mayor's offices across the state, corporate leaders, and philanthropy leaders as well, because we wanted them to understand what was happening so they knew how to respond appropriately as it relates to their resources. And you'll notice when you see the first survey, some of the recommendations in there, the governor took us up on those recommendations. So we're very happy about that.
So when you did the survey, what are some of the things that business owners were telling you about who they were and what they were in need of?
Well, one of the biggest things that came out of the survey was many business owners were telling us there's far too much loan money on the street. So we were hearing about PPP, EIDL, lots of cities across the state were coming out with a small business loan program. Golden Leaf Foundation has a loan program. So everything was geared toward loans. And what the business community was telling us, the diverse business community was saying, you're expecting us to repay loans based on lost revenue because we basically shut down. You know, the governor basically shut the state down just to get his arms around and try to control this pandemic, which made sense. But the problem is when you connect that with loans, how do you repay loans with revenue you don't have anymore? And so what the business community was telling us is we need more grants. We need something we don't necessarily have to pay back. And so the governor took us up on that and we created a grant program that has gone extremely well. So I'm very excited about that.
Very good. From survey to survey, what are you seeing about businesses? Is business getting worse? Are people going out of business? Is business getting better?
We think it's changing. So the respondents from the first survey may be a little different than the third. And what I mean by that is the first survey told us that they had a roughly about a 90-day window before they were out of business if they didn't get any financial relief, or they were going to have to start laying people off. So PPP came in around April, May, that started offering some relief. The challenge was, as you know, a lot of minority businesses in particular were not successful at getting PPP money because they had a bank account, but they didn't necessarily have a banking relationship. And so those bankers, they went with the folks that they had more of a banking relationship with, car loan, um, a credit card, a business loan, because they wanted to shore up those things with their customer first. So the others that hadn't talked to their banker, didn't really know them that well, weren't as successful at getting through that process. So we started seeing the respondents shift because of that. Some of them we think went out of business as a result of that. There was a study that was commissioned by the Washington Post that said that we've probably lost somewhere around 41% of minority businesses nationwide. That's startling.
It is. It is.
It's also scary because when you think about the number of jobs that are attached to that, what do people do? And now we have at the federal level, they haven't decided what they're going to do with the next level of relief. So fortunately, we have a governor that's had enough foresight to step in and say, we have to do something at the state level to help our people. And we've done that. And I think they'll do even more uh, once they get back in session. So I'm very pleased about what I'm seeing at a state level in terms of our response, not just at the government level, but what the nonprofits are doing as well.
I want to talk about quickly rapid recovery, the rapid recovery fund, and Retool North Carolina, and how they have impacted diverse small businesses during the pandemic.
So let me speak. So the first is our emergency relief fund. We got several foundations and corporations that contributed to that fund. We raised a little over $100,000 that we divided out across the state. We still have a little bit of money left in that fund in the Triad area and in the Charlotte market. So we wanted to make sure it was diverse across the state, divvied up across the state. The Triangle area, we've used all of that. So I'm pleased that we got that in the hands of those business owners that needed it. And it was designed to provide money for bills up to $1,000. No questions asked. You give us a bill that you owe, we pay directly that on the bill for you. So that is well underway. The second is the response from the governor's office and the hub office. So the foresight of the governor, Secretary Saunders, and Tammy Hall, who's the director of the hub office, we came up with Retool NC, which was a $12 million fund. We are partnering with the hub office along with the Carolina Small Business Fund. We each have $6 million to put on the street. We had that portal up for about 30 days. And we shut it down because we have far more requests than we have funds. So we're working through those funds to get those out on the street, just with those that are already in the portal that have applied. And that goes up to $25,000. So hopefully for your listeners, what they should do is contact their legislator and say, hey, we heard about Retool NC. What a great idea. You need to put more money in that so we can help more people. But we've used what we have currently, and that's 6 million apiece.
Very good. And before we go, we're running out of time. I wanted you to talk about, please, an event that's coming up on December the 10th, I think it is, and it is the State of Minority North Carolina Conference. And from what I understand, it's going to be online for people to be able to sign up for it and participate in. So if you don't mind sharing information about that.
Well, this will be new for us, Kimberly. This is, if you all are familiar with the Urban League, the National Urban League, you know, they always do the State of Black America. And they put that report out so that the country knows, corporate leaders as well as government leaders, just what's happening with Black Americans across the country. This is a little different take, but similar to that. We want to report on what's happening with minorities across North Carolina since March. So when we look retrospectively back through the year, how has this impacted us? So we've got a group of subject matter experts who are academics from the universities around the state who will be weighing in on this is what's happening as it relates to the economy. This is what's happening as it relates to healthcare. So just little snippets that we'll give during that State of Minority North Carolina. That leads us to the next big thing in 2021.
Yes.
We'll be celebrating our 35th anniversary as an organization.
Okay.
Now, y'all think about that. We're a Black-led, minority-led organization that is nonprofit that can say it has been doing this work for 35 years. We're on Parish Street, that building right behind us where North Carolina Mutual Insurance Company used to be, Black Wall Street. We're still there. It's still minority owned. That building will turn 100 next year. That's a big deal. It's a gem in this community, and we're trying to protect it, but also use it as a beacon to support minorities across the state of North Carolina. And so next year, we'll have the Executive Networking Conference back, August the 5th through the 8th in Pinehurst. And we'll be talking in more detail about these things. So December 10th is the teaser for what we'll do August the 5th through the 8th in Pinehurst.
I feel I'm intrigued, and I just want to offer just a little bit more information about the December 10th event. We need you to register on Zoom if you want to be a part of that, and the Zoom information will follow the registration. So the conference, of course, is being hosted by the North Carolina Institute for Minority Economic Development. And Kevin, if you don't mind giving the website so that people who are interested can go and see more about what's going to happen during the conference.
It's the institutenc.org. So generally, I think if you just put in your search engine, the Institute will pop up. But everyone knows us as the Institute.
Very good. Kevin J. Price, thank you so much for being a part of our conversation today. We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, and then audience, thank you for listening and thank you for watching. I'm Kimberly Pierce Cartwright here on WNCU 90.7 FM. You've been listening to COVID Conversations. Until next time, thank you.